He's going to get the boundary mics.
Let's do it right up here. Before we begin our meeting tonight, we have a special proclamation honoring Earth Day and doing so in the memory of Anne McGowan. I think many of you knew Anne McGowan, and she passed away recently. So Earth Day this year will be in commemoration of Anne McGowan. And I'll read that proclamation now. Whereas Anne Weston McGowan was active and dedicated volunteer in the nonprofit organization formerly known as Operation Recycle since its inception in a one-day recycling drive in 1971. And whereas Operation Recycle created and provided recycling services to the Bloomington and Normal community for over 2 decades until the assumption of this role by the municipal agencies. And whereas Anne Weston McGowan worked to educate local school children and adults about the importance of recycling and led these efforts as the first director of the Ecology Action Center, the nonprofit environmental agency that evolved from Operation Recycle. And whereas Anne Weston McGowan demonstrated passion, dedication, and leadership in this community, inspiring generations of McLean County residents to act as proper stewards of our environment and natural resources. And whereas Anne Weston McGowan passed away on Saturday, March 7th, 2015, following a lifetime of service to this community. And whereas April 22nd is an annual event known as Earth Day, when we recognize the importance of a healthy environment. Now therefore I, Chris Coos, Mayor of the Town of Normal, do hereby proclaim Earth Day 2015, Wednesday, April 22nd, 2015, as Anne McGowan Day in the Town of Normal, and in recognition of her remarkable career and dedication and service to this community. And we urge all the citizens of Normal to recognize the significant efforts of Anne McGowan to improve our local climate. And accepting this on behalf of the Ecology Action Center is Michael Brown. Michael?
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I'm honored to receive this on behalf of Anne McGowan's family. All of her children live out of state, but I hope that this current generation and generations to come can continue to follow the example set by Anne McGowan in proper stewardship of our environment. We certainly have a lot of challenges to attend to in this day and age, but yet this community continues to show that we do care about our environment and are working to improve it. So thank you all.
You don't need those.
Call to order a regular special meeting for the Normal Local Liquor Commission. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Coos?
Here.
Mrs. Reese? Here. Mr. Fritzen?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Ms. Gaines? Here.
The purpose of the meeting is to consider 2 new liquor license applications in the Town of Normal. The first is a liquor license application for Red Robin International Incorporated, doing business as Red Robin Gourmet Burgers and Brews at 101 South Veterans Parkway in Normal, Illinois, and they are requesting a Class D all liquor on-premises consumption license. Move approval. Thank you.
Second.
Is there discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Reese?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
The Class D liquor license for Red Robin is approved. We have a request for Uptown Circle LLC, doing business as the Hyatt Place Hotel at 200 Broadway Avenue, and the request is for a Class C hotel liquor license at that location.
Move approval.
Thank you. Is there discussion on this item? Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mrs. Reese?
Aye.
Motion for adjournment, that is our business
So moved.
tonight.
Second.
We have
Just one
one item.
alcohol-related item. As you know, the Bloomington Normal Community Campus Committee has advocated for required beverage service training and intend to continue to do that both locally and statewide. But all of our efforts have been grant-funded over the years, different grants directing us in slightly different directions as grants do. But we, in spite of all, this is money that comes from the federal government through the state government to, local coalitions like ours. And we learned recently of some additional funds that had been withheld that were extended to us, but the grant year ends June 30th. And part of those funds are being utilized to provide beverage service training, STEPS training, which stands for Safety Training to Encourage Profitable Services, but it's beverage server training, and is being made available through Heartland Community College that has worked with the coalition over the last few years to provide a good, stable source for the training, and these classes will be free. So word is going out to the municipalities, to liquor license holders in Bloomington and Normal and the county, but this is a great opportunity to, because we heard when we, talked about and deliberated on a local ordinance that costs were an obstacle. This is at no cost. It's grant funded. It's only available during the month of May, though. Heartland Community College is promoting it on behalf of the BNCCC, but I wanted to mention it as well publicly that this is happening, it's available, and I think it's a great thing for our community.
Thank you.
I'll move we adjourn.
There's a motion for adjournment. Please call the roll.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mrs. Reese?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, the Liquor Commission meeting is adjourned. Call to order a regular meeting for the Normal Town Council for April 20th, 2015. Please call the roll.
Mayor Kus?
Here.
Mrs. Reese?
Here.
Mr. Fritzen?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Ms. Gaines?
Here.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, our first order of business is an omnibus agenda, a very brief one tonight. These are items that will be considered with one vote unless a council member would like to pull an item for discussion. I would like to be excused from voting on any bills I may have incurred in my duties as mayor. Mrs. Reese?
Yes, I'd like to be excused from voting on any bills submitted by Advocate Broman or any bills that I've incurred in the course of my duties.
Thank you. Motion for approval?
Move approval.
The items we're considering tonight are the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 6, 2015, approval of Town of Normal expenditures for payment as of April 15th, 2015. We have a resolution to waive the formal bid process and authorize the purchase of ammunition for the police department, and that's from Ultramax Ammunition. And we have a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement for a police shooting range facility with the city of Bloomington. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Reese?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. The omnibus agenda is approved. We have one item of general orders tonight, and that is a resolution authorizing a license agreement with the Bloomington Normal Angel Investor Network Incorporated, and that's pertaining to the property at 108 East Buford Street in Uptown Normal.
Move approval.
Second. Thank you. If one of the applicants is here tonight, if you have questions, Michael Summers is one of the members of the Bloomington Normal Angel Investor Network. So is there discussion on this item? This was carried over from our last meeting, if you'll recall. Mr. McCarthy?
Yeah, I just want to take an opportunity to say what a great opportunity for us as a governmental body to support the potential growth of jobs and local businesses here. We know that at least a handful of startup companies have started here in this community, predominantly out of ISU, and have gone on to grow jobs and grow, but unfortunately have left our community because we didn't have the appropriate mentorship and support here for them to do what they needed to do to grow. And so this co-working space is a tool that will help us to begin to change that reality. It's one of many that we need to support new and developing businesses so they can stay here and hopefully grow jobs and help us to really stem the brain drain that's leaving our community. So we can keep the talent here, grow new jobs, and meet the needs of our growing existing businesses as well. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to partner with business to do good things and economically develop. Thank you.
Further on the item? Please call the roll.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mrs. Reese?
Aye.
Mayor Cruz?
Aye. The resolution is approved. We have a couple of items of new business tonight. The first is a presentation by Asakawa Sister Cities exchange student, Nagisa Sugarwara. I hope I got that right.
Hi, I'm Joe Reed. I'm on the Bloomington Normal Sayakawa Sister Cities Committee. I've represented that committee for 13 years from the town of Bloomington. I've had the honor and privilege of bringing students to your council over the years. And today I'm bringing Nagisa Sugawara, who is attending Bloomington High School. Next year's student is slated to attend Normal Community High School. So Nagisa is going to talk a little bit about how much she loves being in America, which she really does, and just a little bit about her time so far in the U.S., and then afterwards, if you have a couple questions, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, I'm Nagisa Sugawara. I'm 17 years old. I came here from Sister City today, and I'm from Hokkaido Asahikawa. Okay. I'm staying with my host family. I have 6 host siblings, so they're very big family. So I often play with my host siblings. They're very funny. They're very nice. I love my host family. And I'm attending Bloomington High School. I'm having cooking, art, Spanish, study hall, concert choir, ESL, and American history. Spanish is my favorite class, and I also like American history because American history is really hard to learn for me, but learning American history is good to learn about American culture, like about America, so I really like to learn American history. And I'm in choir, and I have my last choir concert this month, so I'm really excited. And okay, there are a lot of differences between American high school and Japanese high school. I'm enjoying these differences. Yeah. American food, American people are very nice. I love them, and I'm gonna miss them. And I'm gonna miss my friends, my host family, and Sister Cities family. I appreciate everyone who is a part of my wonderful experience. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Questions or comments from the council before we let them go?
Just a brief question about, can you give me one example of the difference between the high school here and the high school in Sayakawa?
Okay. In America, we can choose on classes, but in Japan, we can't. So yeah, that's one of the differences. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I was going to ask, and what food is it that you're going to remember the most when you go back home?
Pizza. Yeah. I love pizza.
We do too. Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item of business is a resolution of appreciation and commendation to Chuck Scott for his years of exemplary service to the citizens of the town of Normal. Motion for approval on that
Move
one.
approval.
Second.
Second.
We are going to mix it up here a little bit. Chuck, you want to come down front here? And so I will read the resolution to the audience. Yeah, you get to hold it. Whereas Chuck Scott has served on the Town of Normal Council for 8 consecutive years, having been first elected in April 2007 and then re-elected in 2011. And whereas Mr. Scott has served on the council during a period of unprecedented community growth and has joined his colleagues in supporting several residential subdivisions, including the Vineyards, Trails on Sunset Lake, Willow Trails, Evergreen, Blackstone Trails subdivision, and Mercy Creek. And whereas Mr. Scott also supported numerous anchor projects that were an integral part of the Uptown Renewal Project, including the Uptown Station Project, the Marriott Hotel and Conference Center, and the Hyatt Place Hotel, to name just a few. And whereas Mr. Scott has impacted the lives of many residents by supporting major projects designed to enhance the quality of life in our community, including numerous extensions of the Constitution Trail, the Connie Link Amphitheater, the development of Shepherd Park, and numerous parks and open space improvements throughout the community. Whereas Chuck Scott has been a valuable resource on the council, applying his professional knowledge from his regular occupation as the Director of Facilities for Illinois State University to positively impact the town's efforts in sustainability, financial planning, and the management of the town's assets. And whereas Mr. Scott has served as a friend and mentor to his fellow elected officials on the council, and he has served his community with integrity, compassion, and enthusiasm as a member of Normal's governing body for the past 8 years. Now therefore be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Town of Normal that all citizens of the Town of Normal shall extend their thanks and best wishes to Chuck Scott for his exemplary public service as a member of the Normal Town Council over the past 8 years, and that the mayor and council, along with town staff, express its collective and heartfelt appreciation to Chuck Scott for his friendship, leadership, and his dedicated service to our community. Call the roll, please.
Mr. McCarthy?
Most definitely aye.
Mr. Preston?
You bet. Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mrs. Reese?
A huge aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
And Mayor Kus?
Aye. Do I get a vote?
You don't get a vote. I passed him.
I have a few words. And I had to write them down because I didn't want to forget anybody. I'll try without.
Does he need a mic?
At the risk of sounding like an awards program, I wanted to say thanks to a few people and recognize a few folks. So first of all, I wanted to thank the residents of the Town of Normal. I mean, it's your vision, it's your ideas, it's your encouragement that has allowed this council to turn this community into what it is. I'm hopeful that you found me to be a good representative, and I hope that you'll show that same support for your future council. To Mayor Kus, your vision, your wherewithal to implement so many projects and so many different initiatives. I mean, you mentioned a few, but there's so many more. I mean, we've got curbside recycling now. I mean, there's so many more that we've been involved with. So thank you. I've enjoyed working under your leadership, and thanks for putting Normal, Illinois in the national spotlight. To Mark, Pam, Wendy, Sally, all the department heads. You guys have built a team It is unbelievable. Your attention to details, your respect for people, your timeliness, communication, your ability to get stuff back to us, even regardless of the questions that we asked, you got them back to us immediately. So thanks for letting me be a part of your team for a short while. To Mary Ann and Adam and Steve and Kim, who was here a moment ago, thanks for not printing or airing when I stepped on my tongue or for asking a silly question. Your courteous, your professional courtesy for all of us has proved your respect for what it is that we do, and thanks for making us look good. To my friends on the council, thanks. Can't thank you enough for the support and encouragement you've exhibited throughout my tenure on the council. We didn't always agree, but we always did one thing. That's we always made a decision and turned the page. And that's so critical in local government for us to be able to move forward and make the decisions that we did. It's that type of collaborative approach that has converted this sleepy little college town into what it is today. And the past 8 years have been something I'll cherish forever. And it's because I had the opportunity to work with each one of you closely. Finally, I want to thank my family. Vicki and Aaron, Brian, Allie, Lexi, they've always been here. 3 of them are here tonight. So you've been here all the way. I want to thank you for giving your time, for giving me the opportunity to achieve my goal of public service. And I wish the next council the very best. I hope you enjoy the same successes that I have over the past 8 years. Thank you all very much.
Do this again.
Is it to do this again?
I need a motion.
Thank you. Save us a lot.
Item 9 is a resolution of appreciation and commendation to Sonia Reese for her years of exemplary service to the citizens of the town of Normal. A motion, please.
Move approval.
Enthusiastic second.
Would you call the roll?
Okay. Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Absolutely.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. I should also point out that former Mayor Paul Harmon is here, and he made the comment that he was the mayor when you came on the council, so he wasn't going to miss your last meeting, too. So he's here for that as well.
Lots of
So I'm going to hand you this.
read from it.
Whoop, that's the wrong one. And our resolution tonight is, whereas Sonia Reese has served as a member of the Normal Town Council for 24 years, having first been elected to the position in April of 1991, and subsequently in 95, 99, 2003, 2007, and 2011. And whereas prior to her service on the Board of Trustees, Mrs. Reese served the town as a member of the Planning Commission for 4 years. And whereas during her long tenure on the council, Mrs. Reese has attended over 500 council meetings and has served with 3 mayors and 14 council members. And whereas the council's longest consecutive serving member, Mrs. Reese became the mayor pro tem in May of 2003 and capably served in that important capacity until her departure from the council in May of 2015, which has not happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And whereas her long tenure on the council resulted in countless community service improvements and projects that are far too numerous to list, but include such notable accomplishments as Uptown Renewal Project, including the Marriott Hotel, Children's Discovery Museum, Uptown Station, Fairview and Anderson Park Aquatic Center, vast expansions of Constitution Trail, the Cyber High-Speed Broadband Network Project, numerous long-range community plans, improvements to the town's water and wastewater systems, expansion and development of numerous community parks, numerous economic development initiatives, and the construction of new facilities to benefit all of the town's operating departments. So you've done a lot.
I'm claiming all of that.
And whereas Sonia Reese has been a leader in many other aspects of the community, as she has served on numerous boards and organizations in Normal, Bloomington, and McLean County, including the United Way of McLean County, the United Way of Illinois, the Economic Development Council, the Bloomington Normal Area, McLean County Chamber of Commerce, and many others. And whereas Sonia Reese has an expansive professional career, joining Mennonite Hospital in 1973 and working through all the transitions of the hospital, from Mennonite Hospital to Brokaw Hospital to Broman Hospital, and continuing in her work at Advocate Broman Medical Center. And whereas during her tenure on the Normal Town Council, Mrs. Reese became actively involved in the National League of Cities, serving on its board from 2007 to 2009, its advisory council from 2010 to present, and its Information Technology and Communications Steering Committee from 2003 to present. Whereas Sonia Reese has been recognized for her outstanding community impact and has been a recipient of several community service awards through the years, including the YWCA Women of Distinction Award in 1992, the Athena Award from the Women's Division of the Chamber of Commerce in 1998, the Spirit of Success Award from the Illinois Heart and Lung Foundation in 2011, and the Legacy of Excellence Award from the McLean County Chamber of Commerce in 2015. Whereas throughout her busy tenure in the Normal Town Council, Sonia Reese always found time to serve as a mentor and friend to her fellow town council members and to interact with her constituents, never missing an opportunity to respond to a citizen letter, telephone call, or email. Whereas Mrs. Reese is concluding her long and distinguished career as a council member for the town of Normal, but she certainly will not conclude her involvement in many aspects of her busy life serving the citizens of the town of Normal. Now therefore be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the town of Normal that sincere and heartfelt appreciation be extended to Sonia Reese from her fellow elected officials, town staff, and all of the town of Normal citizens for her countless and positive contributions to the quality of life for all residents of Normal during her tenure on the Normal Town Council. And that Sonia Reese shall always be remembered as a tireless, dedicated, effective, informed, and admired public service who selflessly and capably served for 24 consecutive years on the governing board of the community that she dearly loves. Sonia, congratulations.
Well, I have some things to say, and I'm coming back up here to say them. What a marvelous evening. So many friends out here. I'm just thrilled to see those of you that came to this night tonight. It is very special, special for me, special for my family. My family's here, pleased about that. I just wanted to take a little bit of time and reflect on some of these things that you heard the mayor discuss and some others that he didn't mention, but have happened along the way. I began to think about the early years, and it seemed like it was a long time ago. As I remember the things that we were concerned with back then, how many things have really changed. Back in those early days, it seemed to me like we were totally occupied with the relationship between the students and the town. That was a lot of our effort. And the party patrol, cushy couches, anybody remember those? Yeah. You know, along the way, if you don't know about cushy couches, see us later on, we can tell you what that meant. Too many couches sitting in the yards, places. Anyway, along the way, it seemed that ISU and the town found a common interest, have come together, stepped up, and now have joined in that effort to address all the issues of life that occur off campus as well as on. So that's been greatly improved. Another issue was our student housing. And that was a worry. Where was it going to be? One of those not in my neighborhood kinds of things. Well, that seems to have changed markedly. We now have some marvelous facilities. They're very high quality. They're carefully distributed across the community and well managed. So major changes. Early in those days, it seemed like the first year, the town acquired ISSCS. I say acquired because the state had it, and there was some issues about it, and we were going to watch that just kind of crumble and said, we can't let that happen. And so the town stepped up to own that. And now, of course, at that time, it seemed like it was way away. It was like over in the northeast corner of the community. Now, if you look at a map, it's almost the geographic center of our city. So that kind of tells you how we've changed. Another thing that changed along the way came as a result of my trips to the National League of Cities. Very early in that process, I found myself visiting with other people that were there and asking them, how do you engage the citizenry? And many times they would say, well, gee, they watch us on TV. I came back and I said to Dave Anderson, the city manager, I think we need to be televising our meetings. Well, Dave was kind of lukewarm to that idea. He was like, oh, nobody's going to watch that. But we just kept talking, and lo and behold, after I convinced him, it really was in the 2015 plan, and he was wanting to follow that. So televising has happened, and now there they are in the back of the room doing this on a regular basis and streaming live, so it's all good. Our fire stations, I remember when we made the big decision to put in a third fire station, and the big talk was affording the station. Also along the way, we learned that the bigger issue was staffing it 7 days a week, around the clock, getting high-quality people that then moved from EMTs up to being paramedics to give us total rescue service for the community. So out of that, now the next task is going to be, how do we redistribute those fire stations to get the very best coverage, to get the plan in place that will take care of our growth for the future. Another emphasis was on getting ourselves debt-free. Pay as you go was the mantra of the time. So whatever it was, we had to be paying for it with cash. We emphasized it so much that we finally kind of got the idea that that was the way we would be forever. But in fact, that was only to get us to a really good place where we could do the revitalization, could do the bond issues and so on, and maintain unheard of a AAA bond rating. So that was wonderful. Along the way, our parks people were not asleep at the switch at all. As I think about all the things that have happened, after I came on the council, we acquired the Normal Theater. The trail was new. We needed to widen it. I remember a conversation at that time, like, I told you so, it was going to be popular. We needed to have it wider in the first place. And so there was a lot of going back and forth about that. The water slide at Fairview came along. Anderson Park was renamed, and the Aquatic Center was developed there. The Children's Discovery Museum became a gleam in the eye of Kent Carricker. He saw an opportunity that some of the rest of us had not quite understood or visualized. And look what it's done today. Connie Link Amphitheater, a whole new idea for the theater arts for so many young people. Carden Park and the Safety Town for our little kids to learn out there. The skate park at Fairview to give kids a safe place to do skating. Champion Fields, how many tournaments have come because of Champion Fields and all it presents. Franzen Nature Area, or the Hidden Creek. I wonder if we ask how many people have been to Hidden Creek Nursery. Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you, but if you haven't, you need to go find that little spot. Shepherd Park. And we don't want to forget the 2 dog parks we have. When we first proposed dog park, Mark came and talked to us about the idea. I thought we ought to call it the Mark Bark Park. They didn't like the idea. Along the way, we began the planning for the Uptown revitalization. And a lot of discussion on that. Ended up with an advisory referendum that we should not own the hotel. And that vote was no sooner put to rest than immediately John Q. Hammonds came in and said, that's a really good idea. I think I'll put $42 million into building a hotel. So we got the hotel without the town owning it, and that was really the dream, was to have that kind of facility here. So we're grateful for that and for the promise of the next one that's coming along. It meant traffic change, but not just traffic. It also meant a better bus service and easy train service. It was an image change of pedestrians and bikers and business and the arts revitalization in the area. And by all means, we have the best tiny park ever. And the name change. We talked about the Uptown area. Back then, it was the downtown. And I remember sitting in a meeting when I said, I would think we had finally arrived if somebody said, I'm going to go downtown, and the other person would say, downtown Normal or Bloomington? Because they never said that. If you said downtown, they assumed that was to be Bloomington. So we kicked around what were the issues, and I remembered my little town from Missouri where we called it going uptown. And we had some discussion on that, and along the way, we settled on the name Uptown. So I feel really good, even though some call it Uppity Town. I still think it's good. Well, I've arrived at graduation time. I've been in the best classroom one could imagine, getting the best lessons on how a community should operate. Many lessons. I want to pull out 7 to share with you tonight. My first lesson, it's essential that we have leadership with a shared vision. A shared vision. And that doesn't just mean the people at this table. It means our boards, our appointed people, the commissions, administration, all the department heads, your managers, your coordinators, has to have that shared vision of where we're going and to get us there. Second point, important to be leaders who listen more and talk less. My father was a farmer who retired and moved to our little town and ended up serving on the city council of this town of 812 population. And I asked him about that role, and he said, you know, it is one of listening. He says to me, you know, I'm not learning anything when I'm talking. Worth thinking about. Third lesson, learn from other successful communities. I've enjoyed my relationship with the National League of Cities. Some of you have been there. I would encourage you to continue to do that if you get a chance. And it's not the sessions that go on, it's the interaction with other elected officials that have come, where you trade ideas and bring back something that's really useful for us here. Fourth is to maximize our private and public partnerships. None of this in this Uptown could have happened without that partnership. It's partnership with the local businesses. It's also partnership with people in Congress that understood where we were going and what we were doing. Treasure it, keep that relationship intact. The next advice is make a plan and act on it. act on that plan, and we've done that once, and I think it's really important that you do it with this next time around. Don't put it on the shelf, make it work. During that time, keep your eye on the money. Money has a way of changing. Stay flexible, adjust operations when it's a little tweak and not a big adjustment. We are so blessed in the town of Normal to have staff that keep the closest eye on that, and they know well ahead of time what that's going to look like and how that's going to function. And my seventh piece of advice is bring the next generation to the table. They see things with fresh eyes. In this last election, we have lowered the average age around this table from 57 to 51. Maybe that doesn't seem like much, but it is. It is. So I'm going to say to the mayor, think about our boards, our commissions, our task forces, and engage the younger people. This is going to be their community. My grandchildren are here. I see Emmy Chambers that was here. She's been involved on these trips many, many times, and I see them at some point sitting at this table, so they need to have their voice. This community is going to be theirs. So I thank you all for this chance to learn from you. Following my graduation, I will see where I want to take these lessons and apply them. I can't wait to see when I'll be walking through another door. But more importantly, I can't wait to see the door that this town is going to go through. There are so many things before you. So my parting advice to you comes from Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss talks about, oh, the places you will go. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own. You know what you know, and you are the ones who will decide where to go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. That's 98 3/4% guaranteed. Thank you.
We received this letter today to Sonia Reese. Dear Mayor Pro Tem Reese, thank you for your dedicated service over the past 24 years to the town of Normal. The town, McLean County, and Illinois are better off due to your service. You have contributed an enormous amount through your roles as advocate for healthcare, board member for the National League of Cities United Way, YWCA, and Bloomington Normal Economic Development Council. With your focus on bringing your constituents' voice to the council, you have been an example for others to follow. Again, thank you and congratulations for all that you have done and will continue to do. It is my honor to serve you in the United States Congress. And signed, Rodney Davis. And we'll have a better copy of this coming your way.
Thank you.
Also, on April 30th, 2015, Senator Kirk has arranged for a flag to be flown over the Capitol, and will be presented to you at a later date.
Wow.
So, and congratulations from Senator Kirk as well.
Thank you.
And I will just say, and start a conversation, because I think some council members have got something to say, that it has been an honor and a pleasure to serve with such dedicated people. It has made my job easier, it has made the council's job easier because of your passion, your service, your selfless service and dedication to the town. And it's it's a telling thing for the town of Normal that we have that kind of passion and dedication. This isn't the first council to do it. We didn't invent it. There are two former council members out here in the audience that know this, Parker Lawless and Jason Chambers. This has always been a collaborative council, a collegial council. We've agreed, we've disagreed, but at the end of the day, we always had each other's backs, and you have been exemplary in your roles as a councilman in doing that. So I congratulate you, and I know you will not be not seen in this community, given the people you are. I know you'll continue to be engaged and help make this community the great place it is. Thank you. Anyone else wishing? Cheryl?
Well, I've been here, I came 2 years after Sonia. So she kind of guided me along the first few years. And of course, I'd been here a long time when Chuck came. It really is a wonderful thing how we can work together. We throw ideas at each other. We talk about ideas. As we said, we may disagree, but we're not disagreeable. And that's how you get things done. We see just the minutia and the stalemates that go on in our state and in our federal government, because everybody thinks in order to do a good job, you got to fight with somebody. And I think we've accomplished a whole lot more here in our smaller town than anybody could ever imagine because of the collegial relationships. And along the way, we've also had a lot of fun, good times that really help us work together. Sonia and I have been to a few conferences, and we actually went to Asayakawa on a trip.
We did.
Together, and we had a ball, and except she broke her ankle, but
Other than that, it was wonderful.
and so it's really been an honor and a pleasure to work with both of you, and I really appreciate both of you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
Anyone else?
Sure. The League of Women Voters and WGLT co-hosted our first forum prior to this, during this last campaign, and they asked each of us to prepare a question to ask the others, and then to answer ourselves. So it was an interesting exercise and some good questions, and the question I prepared was, considering there were 4 of us running for 3 seats, there was going to be one person who got left out. And the question I asked was, if you learned that night that you were the person who did not succeed in your campaign, what would your reaction be? And actually, that was myself preparing me for that, possibility, because I really believed it was a possibility, because I'd served with Chuck for 8 years and knew, Chuck's heart and his capabilities. I knew RC, and I got to know Kathleen and knew that they were both running strong campaigns, had endorsements from some strong people in the community, and so expected that they would do well. And so I really felt, the outcome of the election was anybody's to claim. And so, and also I did lose an election, a local election, a few years back. And so I knew how that felt. And sometimes, you lose an election. Some people may say, well, it's too bad he couldn't go out on his own terms. But as I've thought about that the last couple of weeks, Chuck, you did go out on your own terms. And you expressed that tonight, I think, just in your thoughts and your appreciation for everybody else, that your term of service ended in a position of honor, and you competed, and you put your best out there, and none of us are guaranteed of the outcome, but those are your own terms. That's going out on your own terms. You know, that's the way we do it, and we all know going into any kind of an election that there's two ways it can turn out. You can either win or you can lose, and I've been on both sides of that, and the next day you get up, you go to work, and you get back at it because of the type of people we are and the type of people I know you are. So I appreciate the perspective you've brought to the council over the last 8 years. What has been really amazing to me over the years is that we have had a group of people from all walks of this community. We haven't been dominated by people who work at any of our largest employers or any particular sector of the community, which is, I think, just a really interesting phenomenon. I think it speaks well for our community. And so, you know, it's one of those things that, as Mrs. Reese said, you know, this has been her classroom. And part of the reason it's been your classroom is because we're all different. We all bring different perspectives, and we respect each other's perspectives. And that's been a great thing to be part of. And I'm glad I was able to serve the last 8 years with you, Chuck. And of course, Sonia, when you announced you weren't going to run again, I kind of went on that night a little bit. But, you know, I think probably the best way, the simplest way to state it is you're simply the best.
Oh, my goodness.
It's easy to get cynical. It's easy to get defensive. It's easy to, you know, kind of feel threatened sometimes when you're in a position of responsibility. And Sonia never responded that way ever to anything. I think when we've been challenged, which granted isn't a great deal, you know, we do have a lot of support from the community, but when we have been, Sonia has always put a positive spin on it, not just to put a spin on it, but because that's her outlook on life. And she's been through some personal setbacks and some personal trials during the same time that she's served publicly, and she's dealt with those things with that same approach, that same attitude. So, you know, we've learned a lot from you too, and been better for it. So I appreciate the time you know, we've spent together, and glad to have gotten to know you in that way and serve with you and serve the people of town, because that's, at the end of the day, I think you mentioned you'd served with 14 different council people, 3 different mayors and whatever, and there hasn't been a single one of those people that has done this for position and power. They've done this because of a heart for our community and because it's the right thing to do. And you really are a testimony to that, and thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
Mr. McCarthy?
Well, I certainly don't have the longevity with both of you that my more distinguished and experienced council members do, but as the first newbie in a while to join this board, I have to tell you, you hear this resume, trying to step on with these guys is a bit intimidating if you haven't been part of that history. Redeveloping uptowns and building hotels and building this building is pretty intimidating, and multi-million-dollar bond references and the like. And so, as Mr. Fritzen mentioned, it could have been intimidating, but both of you, all of you, were very embracing, and both of you, I think at some point I affectionately called Sonia my council mom, and thank you for helping me organize my thoughts to go on the radio for the first time, and try to act like I knew what I was talking about as a councilman for the first time on the radio, and try to help me to begin to manage the details of it all. And Chuck, for asking me Now, have you been told about this? Did you know about that? And helping to make sure that I was immersed in all the details that a first-timer coming onto a council can get overwhelmed with, because it can be a very overwhelming experience at first. But all of you were gracious, but you both were very instrumental in very specific ways, in your own ways, that everybody's already expounded upon tonight, and I won't take a lot more time. But you were very embracing, and you were very helpful, and it meant all the world to me. And probably for the first year, the single most common question I got in joining this body was, okay, so what's it really like? What's the biggest surprise now that you're in the inside? What's the deal, right? And the deal is what everybody's telling you, is that from day one they listened and embraced and were great and supportive. Even if I didn't have a lot to contribute initially, but you were very supportive of ideas and listened and supported whatever us new folks, with Mr. Preston adding whatever us new folks had to say. So thank you very much. You were great mentors and great teachers, and we'll always appreciate the support.
Mr. Preston.
Thank you. I will piggyback a little bit off of Mr. McCarthy's comments there at the end. You know, your first year or two on council, there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of growing, and there's a lot of information coming at you from all over, from every direction. And, you know, I thought about how much I appreciate being able to spend those first 2 years working alongside both of you. But then as this last election cycle progressed, and when election day came, and from that point until now, I've thought all the more so how truly privileged I feel to have been able to work with, learn from, and be mentored by both of you two early in my adult professional career. And I think that the amount of knowledge and advice and expertise that I've been able to pick up from how you guys live, how you work here in your council, and in your other professional duties in your lives is something that has had much more of an impact on me, maybe than you two ever realize. And Chuck, of course, I'm sorry that you got stuck next to the new guy, and I appreciate all the kicks under the table as I'm saying things wrong up here. And to Sonia, certainly from across the table. I really admire your leadership. I thank you for it. It gives me something to aspire to someday. And really appreciate the mentorship that you two have provided. And Mrs. Reese, as you mentioned, getting the next generation involved. You know, I think the greatest opportunity, I guess, from my perspective, that could come from that is if the next generation has the opportunity to be mentored by people with such expertise as you two. So it's been a true honor, and of course with everyone else around the table, been a true honor to continue to work with you guys. But Chuck and Sonia, thank you very much.
Before adjournment, are there comments or concerns? Mr. Fritzen.
Answered a phone call tonight, and so our utility billing statements have come out that reflect the new garbage fee. And it states across the bottom of the bill that the fee is included there, and that bi-monthly it will be a $36 charge. So it's, you know, $18 per month, bi-monthly $36. Sometimes those bi-weekly, bi-monthly things confuse people. They don't quite understand, does bi-monthly mean twice a month, or does bi-monthly mean every other month, or the like? And so just wanted to mention it tonight, because bi-monthly means every other month. You know, so you're going to get 6 utility bills a year, every other month, whatever your cycle is. Mine happens to be right now. There's going to be a $36 fee for garbage collection, and that's $18 per month. You get a bill every 2 months, $36 per bill, but $36 6 times a year. So bi-monthly means every other month, not twice a month. So we haven't gotten to that point yet where we need that kind of revenue, but just wanted to clear that up and kind of alert people again that that's coming, but it's something that I think, again, kind of like the water fee we talked about last time, which is in that bill too. You know, it's going to enable us to deliver the kind of services that people desire in our community and do so in a responsible manner.
And I would point out, again, that with that increase in the bi-monthly bill, some people, generally, if I've heard from retired people that it's a big bite every other month and wish they could pay monthly. Well, you can do that. Just contact town finance or town.
Finance Department, yep. And
And
we've
we'll-
got information on the website about it, and
We'll be able to set that up for you, so you can do it monthly if that's how you wish to do it. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Ms. Gaines?
Aye.
Mrs. Reese?
Aye.
Mr. Fritzen?
Aye.
Mr. McCarthy?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you. Oh, we do have refreshments and a little reception for people next door in the boardroom, so stop by.
Good. That's nice.
isn't that nice? They're going to send they'll send you the,
Yeah.
isn't that very nice?
Yeah.
You want to take that with you, or how do you want to,
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, we'll
Becky's
just
try.
put it aside. Yeah. Very nice.
Oh, how nice.
Well done.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You bet. That was great.
Yes. Well,
I'm still learning things as you're saying them there in your ending remarks.
you know, I don't get many more chances to
Wow, that was very nice.
to
Handcraft today was-
elaborate. Wasn't that? That was really well done.
Yeah.
Great
Well
picture
done.
of you and Sherry.
You know what? I got to